Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, today we're talking about Netflix's Lady Chatterley's Lover. Steamy movie, but also a movie with a very relevant storyline that intertwines with disabled representation. Lot to talk about. Let's get started in three, two, one. Mainly, this is a love story, a beautiful one at that. And if you want, you can definitely skip over the steamy parts of that movie and get to some of the themes like war, love, money, class, elitism, and so much more. Let's start off with Lady Chatterley. She ultimately becomes a caregiver to her husband, and that is a very complex dynamic within itself. One where she burns out, and it is very common to burn out. So it's so important to communicate and be open and take breaks if you have to. Nowadays, we have something called respite. Get that respite, get that help, let others know, what's going on. Ultimately, they bring in a nurse to help with Lord Chatterley, and that's a beautiful thing to see. Infertility is another concept that came up in that movie. I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts away because it still is a new movie, so I really want you guys to check it out. But I do want to say, viewer, it is not just a story about intimacy, physical intimacy. It is an emotional journey as well for all characters involved. So definitely check that out. Again, great movie. Her character is super interesting, and she's not painted as a saint nor the worst person on earth. So a very dynamic, complex character. All right, let's move on to her husband, Lord Chatterley. Again, not a saint, but not the worst person on earth either. He becomes paralyzed, if you will, as a result of the war. So he is a veteran, but an aristocratic veteran at that. So he goes back, tries to live his life, but is his life is different. It will never ever be the same. And it's, side note, really interesting to see the different wheelchairs of that era, which is about the 20s. Yeah, they had wheelchairs back then. He's pretty dependent on Connie in the beginning, and it happens a lot. We get someone that is really helpful in our lives as a disabled person, and you kind of don't want them to go. You don't want them to leave. You want them around you always. But it's really important to bring others in to help and to get a break from that person, the caregiver, but for you to get a break and experience new people. And it'll either make you truly appreciate that caregiver even more, or it may want you to allow more people in your life. And that's really what most people need anyway. So I really think he's such an interesting character. Very complex, just like his wife, but very dynamic. And I love the fact that even from his wheelchair, he is misogynistic. He says things that you just shake your head. He has different outlooks on life, especially the common man. Definitely check out YouTuber Ellie Dashwood's channel. She really gives a breakdown on the different classes and their viewpoints and just aristocratic society, regency society, but nonetheless, it gives a lot more information that I am able to present at this time. And this movie kind of is around the same time as one of the seasons of Downton Abbey. And if you haven't checked that video out online, please check that out. It is a good breakdown of the characters, and there's disabled representation there as well. But after the war, there aren't too many aristocratic men, or that number does decline, so women don't have a lot of options. So it's really interesting to see that play out on screen. But good show, wonderful show, and lastly, the last character what I'm going to talk about is actually Lady Chatterley's lover, the Gamekeeper. And just wanted to bring him up. He's involved in the disabled, I would say, storyline and conversation because he is a veteran himself and says that he has a little mild lung problem, but also he is targeted by his ex-wife for his pension. She won't give him a divorce because she wants half of his money, which I know many men will say not much has changed, especially veterans, and that's really unfortunate. So everyone is in a very difficult, awkward place in this movie, but ultimately it is a love story, and that is a quote from Lady Chatterley herself. It is a love story, a complex one, but one that we do need to be talking about, and it was so good to see all of that representation amongst a higher socioeconomic status. They really do make it work in their own way. And I like this adaptation as well because of how it plays out, who ends up divulging the secret and why. It's just really cool to see. I actually wish they would have had the character of the gamekeeper's quote unquote wife. I wish we would have seen her in action because she seems like a really fun villain to watch. But anyway, all right, that's it. Again, happy holidays. And if you're looking for more disabled representation for holiday movies, please check that video out of mine as well. All right, it was a true pleasure. How'd you like this video? Anything further to add? Did you like the steamy parts? Did you want to skip over it? Did you notice the wheelchair? Have you read the book? I can say no to many of those questions I just posed myself. So, well, I did like this video, but I have not read the book. Steamy parts, I'm not going to tell right now. Anyway, have a very happy rest of your holiday. So nice checking in with you. Check that movie out. It was great. And let's start having more conversations about physical intimacy in the disabled world. Every aspect of life should be talked about and discussed amongst disabled individuals. So let's start having these conversations and make them less uncomfortable and awkward. Anyway, thank you so much for your viewership. Please comment below, like, and definitely subscribe if you had not. And it is now a black button, the subscribe button, so hit that button. Thank you so much. Bye.